Shabbat Shalom, everyone.
Shabbat Shalom.
And happy Hanukkah, and welcome to our Shabbat Evening Service here at Temple Emeth in Teaneck, New Jersey. It is my pleasure to welcome you to the service and here to the Rabbi Louis J. Siegel Sanctuary. If you are watching us on live stream, I'd like to say Shabbat Shalom to you and Bruchim Habaim. If you have a copy of Mishkan Tefillah, our Siddur at home, now is the perfect time to bring it to your computer or your device so that you can follow along with each and every song and prayer and page number in our prayer book. Also, if you're watching on live stream, I hope you'll take a moment to post something in the chat or comment section of the live stream platform. It can be your name, it can be Shabbat Shalom. Hey, for this service, it could be Happy Hanukkah. I don't care how you spell Hanukkah. And In doing so, we form bonds of virtual community so that others who are watching know that you are there as well. To those of you here in the sanctuary, well, thank you for braving the cold. Not everyone is a native Minnesotan. We have one native Minnesotan in the congregation, but most of you are not native Minnesotans, and you've come out in, depending on whose phone you look at, 12-degree, 14-degree weather, and so I appreciate it. And your reward is that your Mishkan Tefillah is provided for you right in front of your seat, so you can find your Mishkan Tefillah there. And by way of welcome, I would like to welcome to the Bima Tara Levine. Tara grew up at Temple Emeth, and she is home for the holidays from the Boston area, and she has agreed to be our cantorial soloist this evening. And so thank you, Tara, and Brucha Haba'ah to you. And we are going to begin, it being Hanukkah, we're going to begin in just a moment with the lighting of the Hanukkah candles. So the blessings for lighting the Hanukkah candles are on page 572 of Mishkan Tefillah. And for many years, it was our custom at Temple Emeth to have a dinner on the Friday night during Hanukkah. That was suspended during COVID, and though we've restored a lot of things, we did not restore our annual Hanukkah dinner this year. So we didn't have the chance to do our Hanukkah dinner tradition of covering the stage in aluminum foil and encouraging everyone to bring a Chanukiah and to put it on the stage and light it there. For the last 2 years, we've done it outside in the parking lot, but tonight, our anyone can bring a Chanukiah tradition has been moved to the Bima. And so we have approximately 10 menorahs on table on the Bima. And so at this time, I would like to invite forward the owners of each of these menorahs to come and light them. And if there's anyone who forgot to bring one and feels bad, you can come and light the main one with me. And as we do that, we're going to follow Tara's lead in reciting the Hanukkah blessings.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher kidshanu b'mitzvotav v'tzivanu l'chadlik ner shel Chanukah. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam she'asa nisim lavoteinu bayamim hahem ba'azman hazeh.
Oh, I have to call the page number, Tara. Hang on. And now that we have said the blessings, we're going to sing. Ma'oz Tzur is found in Mishkan Tefillah on page 669.
Ma'otzor Yeshuati L'chana Elishabeach Tikon Beit Tefilati L'sham Todan Ezabeach Li'etachin Ma'beach Mitzah
looks beautiful. Thanks to all the people who brought Chanukiot. And you're very efficient. We had backup music planned in case you guys took a long time to do that. But you know what you were doing. You're clearly experienced menorah lighters. So Yasher Koach to you. And we get to now enjoy the light of all these Chanukiot during our service, which is a nice thing, which we've never really done before. And so now we are going to continue with the lighting of our Shabbat candles, which is found in the Siddur on page 120, preceded by an English reading. And for the honor of lighting our Shabbat candles, we call upon Marla Levine.
As these Shabbat candles give light to all who behold them, so may we, by our own lives, give light to all who behold us. As their brightness reminds us of their generations of Israel who have kindled light, so may we, in our own day, be among those who kindle light. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, asher kiddushanu b'mitzvotav, v'tzivanu lahadlik ner shel Shabbat.
Amen.
Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, asher kiddushanu b'mitzvotav, v'tzivanu lehadlik ner shel Shabbat.
All the way down. You're all done. Okay. We continue now with our Kiddush for Shabbat evening, which is found on page 123, also preceded by an opening reading. And for the honor of leading us in Kiddush, we call upon Michael Goldberg. Please rise if you're able for the Kiddush. Okay, you are right here.
Okay. As evening falls, we give thanks for the blessings of the past week, for life and strength, for work and rest, for home, love, and community. As we enjoy this bounty, may we be inspired to bring goodness into the lives of others. We raise a cup of wine in gratitude for the miracle of creation and for the gift of this day of rest. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, borei peri hagafen.
Amen.
Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, borei peri hagafen.
Amen.
Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, asher kitshanu b'mitzvotav, v'ratzavanu, v'shabbat kodsho, be'ava u'ratzon, hinchilanu, zikaron lema'aseh bereshit, ki hu yom tehilah, lemikra'e kodesh, zecher l'tziat mitzrayim, ki banu v'acharta, ve'otanu kidashta, mikol chamim, v'shabbat kodeshecha, be'achava u'vratzon, hinchaltanu, Baruch atah Adonai, mekadesh hashabbat. Amen. Chaim.
Please be seated. We turn now to page 143, and we read together an excerpt from the book of Genesis. Please read with me in English. And Jacob left Beersheba and set out for Haran. Coming upon a certain place, he passed the night there, for the sun was setting. Taking one of the stones of the place, he made it his headrest, as he lay down in that place. He dreamed, and lo, a ladder was set on the ground, with its top reaching to heaven, and lo, angels of God going up and coming down on it. And lo, Adonai stood up above it and said, I, Adonai, am the God of your father Abraham and the God of Isaac. The land on which you are lying I will give to you and to your descendants. And your descendants shall be like the dust of the earth, and you shall spread out to the west and the east and the north and the south. Through you and your descendants all the families of the earth shall find blessing. And here I am with you. I will watch over you wherever you go, and I will bring you back to this soil. I will not let go of you as long as I have yet to do what I have promised you. Waking from his sleep, Jacob said, Truly Adonai is in this place, and I did not know it. He was awestruck and said, How awe-inspiring is this place! This is none other than the house of God, and this is the gate of heaven.
Yitgadal v'yitkadash shemei Rabbah.
Amen.
V'yamad yivrach yirutei v'yamlich malchutei. B'chayechon u'v'yomechon u'v'chayei d'chol beit Yisrael. Bagala u'bizman kariv v'yimeru. Amen. Yehi shmei Rabbah mevorach le'al olam me'omaya Yitbarach v'yishtebach v'yitbra'ar v'yitramad v'yitnaseh v'yitadar v'yitaleh v'yitalal shemei tekushat brihu le'elam im kol birchata v'shirata tushbechata v'nechemata damiram be'alma v'yimeru.
Please rise if you are able for the Baruch Hu. The Baruch Hu is found on page 146.
Lai, 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 lai. Lai, 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 lai. Lai, 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 lai. Ya, lai, 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 ya, lai, 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 lai. Ya, lai, 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 lai. Ya, lai, 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 ya, lai, 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 lai. Ya, lai, 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 lai. Baruch Hu et Adonai HaMevorach. Baruch Adonai HaMevorach, HaMevorach le'olam va'ed. HaMevorach, HaMevorach le'olam va'ed.
We turn the page and join together in Hebrew. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, asher bidvaro ma'ariv aravim, b'chochma poteach she'arim, u'bitvuna mishanei itim, u'machalif et hazmanim, u'misader et hakochavim b'mishmorotehem, barakia kirtzono. Borei yom v'layla, golel or mipnei choshech, v'choshech mipnei or, u'ma'avir yom u'mevi layla, Umavdil ben yom uvein laila, Adonai Sabaoth Shemo. El chai v'kayam, tamid yimloch aleinu le'olam va'ed. Baruch atah Adonai, hama'ariv aravim. We turn the page and read together in English. Wisdom and wonder, passion and instruction, story and symbol. All these things your Torah gives to us, and the more we devote ourselves to it, the more it grows and gives. What could be a truer token of your abiding love than this holiest of your works and the living language that gives it form? Baruch Atah Adonai Ohev Amo Yisrael. As we prepare for Shema on page 152 and 153, Tara asked if she could do the sign language in addition to singing, which she learned here at the Temple Emeth Religious School. And so you get Shema in two languages. You get it both in Hebrew and in sign language this evening.
Shema Yisrael Adonai Eloheinu Adonai Echad. 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 Baruch Shem Kivod Malchuto Le'olam Va'ed. Baruch Shem Kivod Malchuto Le'olam Va'ed. Shema Yisrael Adonai Eloheinu Adonai Echad. Shema Yisrael Adonai Eloheinu Adonai Echad.
Please be seated. We turn now to page 154. Please join with us as we chant the Ve'ahavta.
ואהבת את אדוני אלוהיך בכל לבבך ובכל נפשך ובכל מאודיך. והיו הדברים האלה אשר אנוכי מספרך היום על לבביך, ושיננתן לבניך ודיברת בם בשבתך בביתך ובלכתך בדרך ובשוכבך ובקומך, וקשרתם מאוד על ידיך, והיו לטוטפות בין עיניך, וכתבתם על מזוזות ביתך ובשעריך, למען תזכרו ועשיתם את כל מצוותיי, והייתם קדושים לאלוהיכם. אני אדוני אלוהיכם, אשר הוצאתי אתכם מארץ מצרים, להיות לכם לאלוהים. אני אדוני אלוהיכם, אדוני אלוהיכם אמת.
We turn now to page 157. Please read with me at the top of the page. Standing on the parted shores of history, we still believe what we were taught before ever we stood at Sinai's foot, that wherever we go it is eternally Egypt, that there is a better place, a promised land, that the winding way to that promise passes through the wilderness, that there is no way to get from here to there except by joining hands, marching together.
No right to hear.
V'ne'emar ki fada Adonai et Yaakov ugalom yad chazak mimenu. Baruch atah Adonai Ga'al Yisrael. We turn the page now and offer a version of the Hashkivenu prayer found on page 161. We read together at the top of the page. Let there be love and understanding among us. Let peace and friendship be our shelter from life's storms. Adonai, help us to walk with good companions, to live with hope in our hearts and eternity in our thoughts, that we may lie down in peace and rise up waiting to do your will. Baruch atah Adonai, haporei sukat shalom aleinu ve'al kol amo Yisrael ve'al Yerushalayim.
V'shamru b'nei Yisrael et ha-Shabbat, lasot et ha-Shabbat, ledor tomberit olam. V'shamru b'nei Yisrael et ha-Shabbat, lasot et ha-Shabbat, ledor tomberit olam. Shamayim ve'et ha'aretz, v'shamru b'nei Yisrael et ha-Shabbat, lasot et ha-Shabbat, ledor tomberit olam. Uvayom hashvi Shabbat vayinafash, Shabbat vayinafash, Shabbat.
We are a people in whom the past endures, in whom the present is inconceivable without moments gone by. The Exodus lasted a moment enduring forever. What happened once upon a time happens all the time. We turn now to the Tefillah, which is found in the Siddur on page 164. Please rise if you are able for the Tefillah.
Adonai sifatai tiftach ufiyagi tehilatecha. Adonai, open up my lips that my mouth may declare your praise. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu, Elohei Avotenu v'Imotenu, Elohei Avraham, Elohei Yitzhak, Elohei Yaakov, Elohei Sarah, Elohei Rivka, Elohei Rachel, Elohei Leah, Ha'el Hagadol, Hagibor v'Chanora, El Elyon, Gomel Chasadim Tovim, V'Koneh HaKol, V'Zocher Hasdei Avot V'Imachot, Umevi Gila Livnei V'neihem, Leman Shemo Be'ahava, Melech Ozer, Moshiach Magen. Baruch atah Adonai, Magen Avraham, Bezrat Sarah. Atah Gibor Le'olam Adonai, Mechaye HaKol Tafrav Lechoshia, Mashiv HaRuach U'morid HaGashem. Mechalkel Chayim Bechesed, Mechaye HaKol Berachamim Rabim, Somech Noflim Ato Lishenei Afar Michamocha Ba'al Givurot Umido Melech Melech Memidu Mechaye Umatzmiach Yeshua V'ne'eman Ata L'chayot HaKol Baruch Ata Adonai Mechaye HaKol Ata Kadosh B'Shimcha Kadosh Udkoshim B'chol Yom L'chalucha Selah Baruch Ata Adonai Ha'el HaKadosh.
Please be seated. We turn on page 175. Ever-present one, may we, your people Israel, be worthy in our deeds and our prayer. Wherever we live, wherever we seek you, in this land, in Zion restored, in all lands, you are our God, whom alone we serve in reverence. Baruch Ata Adonai She'otcha Levarecha B'yirah Na'avod. And we now turn to page 179, where we find a prayer for peace. Grant us peace, your most precious gift, O eternal source of peace, and give us the will to proclaim its message to all the peoples of the earth. Bless our country as a safeguard of peace, its advocate among the nations. May contentment reign within our borders, health and happiness within our homes. Strengthen the bonds of friendship and fellowship among all the inhabitants of every land. Plant virtue in every soul, and may the love of your name hallow every home and every heart. Praised are you, Eternal One, who blesses our people with peace. Baruch Ata Adonai, Hamvarech et Amo Yisrael, Ba'Shalom. We take a moment now for Tefillat Halev, the opportunity to offer to God the prayer of our hearts. Readings for this time are found on pages 180 and 181. Torah service, which is found in the Siddur beginning on page 363. Assemble the people, men, women, and children and the strangers in your cities, to hear, to learn, to revere Adonai your God, to observe faithfully the words of this Torah, and let their children who do not yet know it hear, that they too may learn to revere Adonai your God. We continue in the middle of the next page. Please rise. In this scroll is the secret of our people's life from Sinai until now. Its teaching is love and justice, goodness and hope. Freedom is its gift to all who treasure it.
Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad. Echad Eloheinu, Gadol Adonai, Kadosh Shemo. Gadol Adonai iti, Unerom ema Shemo yachdav. Lecha Adonai hagedura, lecha tiferet, lecha nitzach, lecha chod. Ki yichol b'shamayim u'ba'aretz, ki yichol b'shamayim u'ba'aretz. Lecha Adonai chamalecha, lecha mitzatzeh lechodosh.
Please be seated. So I'm going to introduce you guys here for just a minute. This week's Torah portion is Parshat Miketz. It is usually the case that the Shabbat in Hanukkah will have Parshat Miketz, and Parshat Miketz is the next installment of this saga of Joseph and how he navigates being all alone in the land of Egypt. When last we saw him, he was in prison. He made two friends. One of them was executed. The other one was supposed to remember him and put a good word in for him and forgot. And that brings us to this week's Torah portion, where that friend who did make it out of the prison alive and was supposed to remember him and put in a good word for him, he has occasion to put that good word in, because he knows from their time in jail that Joseph knows how to interpret dreams. And here at the beginning of Parshat Miketz, the Pharaoh has some very odd dreams indeed. And so the portion begins with the recounting of the Pharaoh's dreams. And that's where we're going to start, and I'm going to chant from today. So you can follow along as I chant from Parshat Miketz. Genesis chapter 41, verse 1. It's the beginning of the Torah portion. And if you're here in the sanctuary, you can find this section in the Torah commentary books on page 264. Page 264. If you're watching at home and you have a copy of one of the revised Torah commentaries, then you can follow along in the revised edition on page 268. Page 268 if you have a revised edition. And for the honor of having the Aliyah, we call upon Marcia and Morris Sobel. Okay, so Marcia, put your hand right there. And let me make sure that this is what I've signed up for. All right, well, it looks familiar, so it is. Yeah, we're ready.
Baruch Hu Adonai Hambara.
hamvarach leolam va'ed.
Baruch Adonai Habarach Leolam Va'ed. Baruch Atah Adonai Eloheinu Melech Olam. Asher Baruch Banu Mikol Hamim. V'natan Lanu Et Torato. Baruch Atah Adonai Noten HaTorah.
Amen. Amen. Vayehi mikei shnatayim yamin. Ufaro cholem v'hinei omer al hayaor. V'hinei min hayaor olot sheva parot yafot mar'eh uvriot basar. Vatir'ena ba'achu. V'hinei sheva parot acherot olot acharehen min hayaor ra'ot mar'eh v'dakot basar v'ta'amodna etzel haparot al sefat hayaor v'tochalna haparot ra'ot hamar'eh v'dakot habasar et sheva haparot yafot hamar'eh v'habriot vayikatz paro vayishan v'chalom shenit v'hinei sheva shibolim olot v'kaneh echad briot v'tovot v'hinei sheva shibolim dakot ushtufot kadim tzomchot acharehen v'tivlana hashibolim hadakot et sheva hashibolim habriot v'hamaleot vayikatz paro v'hinei chalom.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher natan lanu Torah emet v'chayei olam natan b'tocheinu. Baruch atah Adonai noten haTorah.
Amen. I should probably have a seat right behind me. This time our thoughts turn to those in need of healing as we prepare to offer a mishaberach for healing found in your Siddur on page 371. If you are thinking of someone in need of healing and you're watching on live stream, I invite you to share the name of your loved one in the chat or comment section of the live stream platform. And similarly, if you're here in the sanctuary and you're thinking of someone in need of healing, I invite you to share their name out loud or in your heart. In a moment, we will see the names of our temple members and their loved ones in need of healing on the screen, either your screen at home or the screen in the corner of the sanctuary. To those names that we will see, we add the names Robert George Truns and Melanie Chernoff. We turn now to page 371. Please join us as we sing the Mishaberach.
Limotenu
continue now with the lifting and dressing of the Torah, which is found at the bottom of page 370. Please rise if you are able for Hagbah and Galila.
Bizot HaTorah asher sam Moshe livnei bnei Yisrael ki Adonai v'yad Moshe. Yalalai lai lai lai, yalalai lai lai lai, yalalai lai 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 lai. Yalalai lai lai, yalalai lai lai lai, yalalai yalalai yalalai. Yalalai lai lai lai, yalalai lai lai lai, yalalai lai 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 lai. Lai la la la, yalalai lai lai lai, yalalai yalalai yalalai. Yalalai lai lai lai, yalalai lai lai lai, yalalai lai 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 lai. Yalalai lai lai, yalalai lai lai lai, yalalai yalalai lai.
We remain standing as we turn to page 374. Yehallelu Shem Adonai ki niskav shemo levado.
Odo eretz v'shamayim v'yarem kerem le'amo tehila l'chol hasidav livnei Yisrael am kerovo. Hallelujah, hallelujah.
Ki lekach tov natati lachem torati al ta'azovu.
Eitz chayim li lamazikim ba v'tomchecha meushar derachecha darchei na'or v'chol netivotecha shalom. Hashivenu Adonai Elecha v'nashuva Hadesh Hadesh Yomenu Hadesh Yomenu
Please be seated. Joseph is the most powerful Israelite in the book of Genesis, and perhaps in the whole Torah. He is clearly not the head of state. In this case, that's the Pharaoh. But he uses the power delegated to him by the Pharaoh to create the infrastructure necessary to store the excess food for the anticipated years of famine that will follow. He then continues to remake the Egyptian economy by forcing the people to turn over their land and labor to the Pharaoh in exchange for food. Joseph works within the system in Egypt, a non-Israelite country, to a position of power that affects the lives of everyone. Joseph's model is replicated in later books of the Bible. In the book of Esther, Esther becomes the Jewish queen of Persia. She is able to use her influence to save her people and rid the country of a bigoted tyrant. And of course, at the very end of the story, Mordecai assumes a place next to her as the king's advisor. The model is also reflected in the book of Daniel, which is set in Babylonia. Daniel and his friends serve King Nebuchadnezzar until his fortunes shift and he is ousted and persecuted. But when he first assumes the position, the king finds his wisdom 10 times more valuable than that of other advisors. I mentioned that Joseph may be the most powerful Israelite in the Torah. His only rival for this designation is Moses. Moses is the clear leader of the Israelites, but his nation is without land or infrastructure. His army is weak and his institutions are new and untested. Moses may rank higher in his circumstance than Joseph did in his, but the argument can be made that Joseph had more power. What Joseph, Esther, and Daniel all have in common is that they are Israelites who offer advice to the non-Israelite ruler of a non-Israelite nation. It would be absurd to think that they could rise any higher than they have already risen. Joseph's story of interpreting the Pharaoh's dreams and saving Egypt from a famine is almost always read during Hanukkah, when the heroes of the day are the Maccabees. And the contrasts between them are many. Joseph's power comes from Egypt's greatness. The Maccabees are powerful because they are small and can evade capture. Joseph's power comes from the faith people put in his wisdom, whereas the Maccabees are powerful because of the weapons they wield. The Maccabees are fighting to restore their traditional form of worship in the temple, whereas Joseph clearly believes in God, but never prays to him. But perhaps the most significant difference between them is that Joseph is a foreigner, and the Maccabees are defending their own land. The Maccabees are unyielding in defense of their land and uncompromising in the pursuit of their religious values. Not only is the invading Syrian king Antiochus the target of their wrath, but so are the fellow Jews who believe there may be value in Greek culture and practices. And so these zealots, in all likelihood because of their zealotry, reclaim the temple and restore its function. If you are uncomfortable celebrating a holiday in which religious zealots are lionized, you are not alone. The rabbis of the Talmud were also uncomfortable with the violence the Maccabees displayed, even if it was in defense of Judaism. It was they who promoted the story where the oil lasted for 8 days, emphasizing God's miraculous power over the Maccabees' military power. Jewish power has, of course, taken on many different forms over the centuries. Maimonides was physician to the Sultan Saladin in the late 12th century. Abraham Lincoln's podiatrist was a Jew named Dr. Issachar Zachary, who became an influential spy during the Civil War. And there have been several Jewish cabinet members, beginning with Oscar Strauss, who was Secretary of Commerce and Labor for President Theodore Roosevelt. Our understanding of Jewish power has changed again and again, from the darkness of the Holocaust in the 1930s and 40s, to the founding of the State of Israel in 1948, to the Six-Day War in 1967, to the nomination of the first Jewish vice presidential candidate in 2000. Today, the nature and magnitude of Jewish power is at the heart of an upsurge in anti-Semitism. Anti-Semitic trolls on Twitter and other platforms cite age-old conspiracies of Jews controlling banks and governments. Racist protesters in Charlottesville chanted, "Jews will not replace us." And Kanye West predicted that the Jewish community would attempt to deplatform him as proof that his anti-Semitic beliefs are accurate, when in truth any group would have tried to do the same thing. The nature of Jewish power is dynamic and difficult to define, but one of the clear mandates we have is to use our power to fight anti-Semitism. That's not an easy task. Anti-Semitism has been around a long time and takes on many forms. Deplatforming and shaming anti-Semites can only go so far. It is hard to change hearts and minds, especially those who spend lots of time on the internet and have never met a Jew. But the alternative is a future when Jews are not safe in their institutions or even walking down the street. That is an unacceptable prospect, and one that we must use our influence to ensure does not become our new normal. At the same time, we must ask if we are going to wield power like the Maccabees or like Joseph? Will we threaten our enemies, including even the threat of violence? Or will we use our influence in a more moderating way to raise up voices of moderation and call upon our civic officials to fight extremism and hate? As much as we celebrate the victory of the Maccabees during these 8 days, I prefer the approach of Joseph. Joseph, who used his wisdom to save lives. Joseph, who was always cognizant of God's role in bestowing his talents. May we be accepted wherever we live, and may we always wield power justly, even against our enemies. Shabbat Shalom. Our service continues now with the Aleinu, which is found in your Siddur on page 586 at the bottom of the page. Please rise if you are able for the Aleinu. Please be seated. We turn on page 596 for a reading to introduce the Mourner's Kaddish. When cherished ties are broken and the chain of love is shattered, only trust and the strength of faith can lighten the heaviness of the heart. At times, the pain of separation seems more than we can bear, but if we dwell too long on our loss, we embitter our hearts and harm ourselves and those about us. The psalmist said that in his affliction he learned the law of God, and in truth, grief is a great teacher when it sends us back to serve and bless the living. We learn how to counsel and comfort those who, like ourselves, are bowed with sorrow. We learn when to keep silent in their presence, and when a word will assure them of our love and concern. Thus, even when they are gone, the departed are with us, moving us to live as, in their higher moments, they themselves wish to live. We remember them now, they live in our hearts, they are an abiding blessing. This Shabbat, we remember those for whom we are in the Shloshim 30-day period of mourning. Johanna Sturm, a member of Temple Emeth, wife of George Sturm and mother of Max Sturm. Edith Sairuli, a member of Temple Emeth. Eva Ben-Ami, friend of Rachel Kukumas and David Levin, and Michael Parson, friend of Elise Balzer. We remember as well those whose yahrzeits occurred this week. David Abrams, Rebecca Abrams, Barbara Alter, Seymour Alter, Minna Archer, Reinhold Benish, Samuel M. Burke, Beatrice Binder, June Louise Mizrak Bogert, Jack Broder, Eric Brown, Marilyn Brummel, Marcus Buchbinder, Enid Charon, Eva Cohen, Cheryl Cohen, Fanny Eisner, David Friedman, Seth L. Friedman, Herbert Gerber, Leonard Glazer, Esther Glass, Beatrice Goldberg, Saul Goodman, Jeanette Gordon, Selma Heischober, Mitzi Helfgott, Irving Hoffman, Richard Kane, Shirley Cantor, Morris Cass, Ruth Cass, Millie Kellman, Alex Nieder, Jerry Lasky, Ruth Liblet, Sophie Pater, Abe Price, Fanny Sachs, Harry Sandler, Louis Shapiro, Anna Solomon, Alice Sorsher, Bashka Sosland, Murray Winters, and Mel Wittius. And also for Shloshim, we remember Jerry Wolf, a friend of Peter and Ruth Adler. We remember also the names of 6 of the 6 million who perished in the Holocaust. Tibor Bornstein of Hungary, age 17. Judith Borenstein of Czechoslovakia, age 10. Israel Bornstein of Poland, age 14. Leah Bornstein of Poland, age 9. Laser Bornstein of Poland, age 8. And Motek Bornstein of Poland, age 7. We remember them all. We take them into our hearts with our own as we turn on page 598 and we join together in the Mourner's Kaddish. Please rise. Yitgadal v'yitgadash shemei Rabba, be'alma divrach yirutei v'yamlich malchutei, b'chayechon u'vyomechon u'v'chayei d'chol beit Yisrael, ba'agala v'yizman kari v'imru amen. Yehei shmei Rabba mivorach le'olam u'lalmei almaya, yitbarach v'yishtabach v'yitpa'ar v'yitromam v'yitnaseh, v'yithadar v'yit'aleh v'yithalal shemei d'kudsha b'rechu. Le'ela min kol birchata v'shirata, tushbechata v'nechemata, da'amiran be'alma v'imru, amen. Yehei shlama rabba min shemaya, v'chayim aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael, v'imru, amen. Oseh shalom b'mromav, hu ya'aseh shalom, aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael, v'imru, amen. May the source of peace send peace to all who mourn, and comfort to all who are bereaved. And let us say, amen. Please be seated. It is my pleasure at this time to call upon Michael Goldberg, a member of the Board of Trustees, to offer Shabbat greetings and announcements.
Shabbat Shalom, everyone.
Shabbat Shalom.
On behalf of the Board of Trustees, it's my pleasure to welcome you to a Shabbat evening service and to wish everyone a happy Hanukkah. Next weekend, for the last Shabbat of 2022, we break with our Friday and Saturday routines. Friday night, December 30th, I hope you'll join Rabbi Zerbi for a Kabbalat Shabbat service on Zoom only, starting at 6 p.m. On Saturday, December 31st, our Shabbat morning service will start at 10:30 a.m. in person, on Zoom, in the museum. Our annual One Book, One Synagogue Shabbaton on the themes of the Book of Lost Names returns on Saturday, January 7th. We'll begin at 9 a.m. with a Torah study session on biblical figures with multiple names, followed at 10:30 with a Shabbat service that includes the themes of the book. At noon, we'll enjoy a festive lunch, followed by a screening of Valiant Hearts, a 2021 French film about 6 children who hide in a castle during World War II. The program is free, but reservations are required to attend the lunch. Join us for services on Martin Luther King Day weekend. On Friday, January 13th at 8 p.m., Minister Kerwin Webb of the Red Bank NAACP and the New Jersey Social Justice Remembrance Coalition will be our guest speaker. Temple Emeth is proud to host the 2023 Bergen County Martin Luther King birthday celebration. That's on Monday, January 16th at 6 p.m. We hope you'll attend this festive community event in person or on live stream. On Sunday, January 22nd, our very own pop culture historian, David Levitt, will discuss Jews and comic books at our Biakai breakfast. David has produced and directed documentaries on pop culture for MTV, Discovery, A&E, and other networks. Registration is $7 per person and is due by Sunday, January 15th. This morning program will start at 9 a.m., special start time. Thank you also this evening. Say it again. Thank you also to this evening's volunteers in the live stream control room. Doug and Nikki Falk are at the controls tonight. Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom. Well, I'd like to take this opportunity to thank Tara Levine for being our cantorial soloist this evening. Thank you, and Yasher Koach, Tara. Tara has prepared a closing song for us, which I'm sure you've heard sung at Hanukkah in the past, though you may not know why it is a Hanukkah song, since it does not mention Hanukkah or candles or Maccabees or miracles. But our closing song is not by might, and so you can turn to page 669 for the words. And while you're turning to that page, I will mention that Debbie Friedman wrote Not by Might, taking the lyrics and inspired by the book of Zechariah. And so the book of Zechariah takes place during this period when the Jewish governor Zerubbabel is supposed to be building the temple, and he's taking a long time. You know, construction delays and supply chain and stuff like that. It happened even back then. And so the prophet is taking God's word and trying to get the guy in charge of the project to move faster. And he has a vision. And the vision is of the lamps in the temple that he should be building. And so because of the vision of the lamps, that has become the Haftarah portion for the Shabbat during Hanukkah. So we're going to read that Haftarah portion tomorrow morning. That's incentive to come back. And Debbie Friedman was inspired by it and wrote Not by Might. And so you don't have to go anywhere to hear our closing song. You just have to turn to page 669 as we join together in singing Not by Might.
Not by might and not by power, but by Spirit alone shall we all live in peace. Now, and not by power, but by Spirit alone shall we all live in peace. The children sing, the children dream, and their tears may fall, but we'll hear them call, and another song will rise, and another song will rise, and another song will rise. Not by might and not by power, but by Spirit alone shall we all live in peace. Not might, not by power. Shalom.
Before we conclude our service, I also want to thank Tom Mustachio, our accompanist, for another wonderful service. If you brought a menorah up on the bima, well, we gave you 45-minute candles, and it was more than a 60-minute service. So you're in the clear. They've burned all the way down. Be sure to go home with your menorah. If not, you will see it on the shopping block at the next bazaar. So you've been warned. Also, we ordered donuts before we knew it would be 14 degrees outside. And so everyone here in the sanctuary is obligated to eat at least one donut and maybe two. Do not sneak away. Do not let me catch you not eating a donut at our Oneg Shabbat. Well, we've reached the conclusion of our service. So if you're watching us on live stream, it's your last chance to post in the chat or comment section of the live stream platform. Perhaps you'd like to say Yasher Koach to Tara Levine, or Happy Hanukkah, or maybe you just want to say the words that we in the sanctuary are going to offer to one another at the close of our service. We now turn to one another and we say Happy Hanukkah and Shabbat Shalom. Okay, wave the camera too, Tara.
Oh.
Wave the camera too.